Okay, I don't normally do this while I'm encoding a video because every time I do it, stuff happens, but I hope you're paying attention, and I hope you don't skip this part, meaning I think some of you do. But if you see it glitching out in the bottom corner, in this space, don't worry, that's normal. When I record while this program is encoding my other video, it will do that. It's not the horror terrors. I've just, dinner is being made out there and it's going to be ready by the time I do another video. So, again, in time, lead fearsome entourage into ruins. Oh. Commune. Ooh, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Confer with teammate. Yes, another piece fits. We are making some strict progress on this puzzle. Oh, that's cool, I guess. So, where do you think is the next one? I don't know. Probably buried in the stupid sand somewhere like all the others. Okay, that's mostly what I was thinking too, but it suddenly doesn't sound like you think the puzzle is cool. The puzzle sucks. All these puzzles suck. If I have to help you put one more dumb slab of boring rock into another stupid wall indentation, I'm going to put an indentation in my desk with my face. But it looks like a frog, and that's kind of fun. Snore. These puzzles are for wigglers. I solved way better puzzles than this in my heyday as Mindfang. Oh, look, some ruins. Oh, look, another mysterious recess in the wall. I wonder if something fits in there. It probably just opens a secret passage to more wall indentations. I am so over this puzzle. But they are necessary to solve, aren't they? To find new magic artifacts and things, and learn more about the lore of this land. Tavros, let me let you in on a little secret about the lore of your land. It's boring! The minds of your consorts are very soft and impressionable, as easily manipulated as all those imps you've been bossing around. I have picked apart their tiny little lizard brains and seen through all the smoke and mirrors of their riddles. I've gotten to the truth they are guarding. The great big mystery behind this planet. And you know what it is, Tavros? No, it's bullshit. Meaningless, boring, fanciful bullshit wrapped in flowery poems to keep you guessing. It all leads to one thing anyway, and that's what we should put our attention on. Real gamers cut to the chase. They power through all the nonsense and go for the gold. They cheat, Tavros. It's time you learn to start cheating. I thought I kind of was cheating by making friends with monsters. Well, it's a good start. You're bending the rules and getting stuff done. Okay, I will admit, I am fairly impressed with your progress so far. Even though you still probably haven't killed a single enemy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's only 7, Vriska. No, don't bother. I know you haven't. But maybe that's okay. Maybe it's just your style, and your real strength is surrounding yourself with allies who are much stronger than you. Like me. I'm sure there is more than one way up the Esh ladder. In your case, probably the only way is to roll gently up the Esh ramp. The path of the invalid. Yeah, I agree. But I think it's time to stop fucking around. You need to be challenged more. I've been designing a quest for you that should test your true limits. Oh, is that what you were doing all this time? Yes. I mean, not that I don't appreciate it, but don't you have your own quest to do? Yeah, well, after she got me in the game, Kanye just left me in the lurch, probably because she's dealing with her own crisis now. Which is just as well, because I was starting to get nannied hard. You wouldn't even believe it. Nannied? So I had some time to kill, so I drew you a map. Whoa. Here, take a look. It marks what will be your new destination, where you will find the ultimate challenge. Look at map. More boring puzzles, ignore them. Ooh, I like your handwriting. To 7th gate, go here. Snooze. The M's with the arrows are adorable. So what's over here, I wonder? Where does it go? I have determined from your consorts that there is a terrible monster deep underground. It guards a hoard of treasure bigger than either of us can imagine. It is called a denizen, and it is the boss of your whole planet. Tavros, you will go and face your denizen. Won't that be too difficult?
It will be the most powerful adversary you've ever met, but you can handle it. I believe in you.
Thanks. I mean, I respect that you have lots of piratey bravado about stuff, and you type fast about it, but I think this is foolish and not sensible. I will probably just get killed, realistically.
Maybe. That's why you risks. That's the risk you take by being a brave adventurer. But it is a good opportunity to apply your cunning. Maybe you can rally a huge army to bend to your will and overwhelm the monster? Who knows? It's up to you. This is it, Tavros. It is time to sink or swim.
I should get Kanya's advice, or maybe Karkat, since he is the leader.
No! Oh, God, every time. Always going and getting to others to bail you out. Anyway, Kanye is missing in action, and Karkat has his head up his nook as a new stabby hate friend. Neither can help you.
It's just hard to figure out if you really think this is a good idea strategically, or if it's just more of the thing where you harass me but sound excited about it.
Tavros, I know nobody believes me about this, probably not even a gullible dope like you. But I actually care about your advancement as a player. Everything I have done has been to make you stronger.
Okay, I still don't know what to believe about that.
You are useless. I'm done talking about this. Now shut up and point that cherry vehicle of yours toward the X on the map. Next stop, Gate 7. Let's go. This isn't optional. You know very well I can make you go to that gate whether you want to or not. But I would rather have it not come to that. What will it be? Advance or advance?
Okay, I will go.
Oh, one last thing. Equip your Boy Skylark outfit. This will be Pupa's last stand. I mean, sit. See, that's definitely a... Yeah, she misquirked earlier. This deja vu all over again. Point cherry vehicle toward X on map. Crash. Oh. You proceed through what seems to be your second gate into the land of maps and treasure. The thief of light lies in wait. Huh. She's asleep? On a pile of 8-balls, no less.
Everyone's like, I'm stuck.
Wake up. Oh my! It appears Pupa Pan himself has flown through your window while you were asleep. How exciting! Surely he is here to take you away on the adventure of a lifetime. He is more dreamy and heroic than you ever imagined. But what's this? It seems the legendary boy Skylark has misplaced his shadow. He is looking everywhere for it to no avail. He's having a devil of a time, what with being paralyzed from the waist down and all. He clearly needs your help. Help Pupa find Shadow? Just a second. My apologies for that. Dinner was suddenly ready before I expected it. Pupa, you truly are a silly goose. Your shadow has been trapped underneath your useless torso the whole time. Honestly, where would it be, you stupid sack of shit? Of course, the secret to reuniting with your shadow is to get up and walk around, and play and dance and frolic. Your shadow will surely join you in your gaiety. But it appears Pupa has lost the use of his legs. There will be no frolicking in this young man's future. Unless... So, I can't tell if she's... God-tiered already? Apply special stardust. Right in the eyeballs. Everyone knows that just a pinch of special stardust along with a happy thought will allow any boy to get up and walk again. Everyone knows this because it is in the classic tale, Pupa Pan. Young Pupa flies through the window of a fairy girl's respite block, falls on the floor, and has trouble getting up like an enormous pansy. The fairy girl then helps him walk again, and in return he teaches her to fly, even though she probably already knows how to fly, because she's a fairy. They fly out her window together and have magical adventures for many sweeps thereafter. To be honest, you hardly know a damn thing about Pupa Pan, but you do not care. 'Cause you're a cold-hard bitch. Pupa remains as pathetic and useless as ever. The stardust did nothing, probably because it is glittery powder with no magical properties whatsoever and is basically bullshit. Because, in case it wasn't clear, magic isn't real and neither are miracles. Or, it could just be that Pupa has failed to have a happy thought. Your duty is clear. You will have to make him have happy thoughts. Magic and miracles are totally real. It's a miracle. Make Pupa have happy thoughts. See, that's very creative. They have like his upper body shaking and his lower body is completely still. You can't pull away, dear. They're not sure what's going on. Dump. Manipulate.
I want to love you.
Slump.
It's 7 o'clock.
That was interesting. Deal with your own crisis. Phew, crisis resolved. It was no doubt harrowing and suspenseful. But in the meantime, you have left your client player in the lurch. Ideally, she has not gotten herself into too much trouble. And ideally, the dramatic irony has not gotten so thick you could draw a dotted line on it with a tube of lipstick and cut it in half with a chainsaw. It's considerably thicker than that. Return to serving client. No. Oh, God. Oh, she's like, no. This, no. Do not want the NW. So that's why she had you make this dress for her? And you just went along with it like a sucker? He was such an idiot! It's a really nice dress, though. She's a Risker Belle. There, sweetheart. Kanya, it's hard. Being a kid and growing up, it's hard and nobody understands. Try to understand. The problem is that when the subject of troll romance is broached, our sparing human intellects instantly assume the most ingratiating posture of surrender imaginable. But we will do our best to understand regardless. Humans have only one form of romance. We actually have so many, it's kind of redonkulous. And even though we consider it a complicated subject, spanning a wide range of emotions, social conventions, and implications for reproduction, it is ultimately a superficial slice of what trolls consider the full body of romantic experience. Our concept of romance, in spite of its capacity to fill our art and literature and to rule our individual destinies like little else, is still just that, a single, linear concept. A concept usually denoted by a single symbol. Troll romance is more complicated than that. Troll romance needs 4 symbols. Red romance, conciliatory, concupiscent, okay, and black romance. Their understanding of romance is divided into halves and halved again, producing 4 quadrants. The flush quadrant, the colliginous quadrant, the pale quadrant, and the ashen quadrant. Each quadrant is grouped by the half they share, whether horizontally or vertically, depending on the overlapping properties one examines. The sharpest dichotomy, from an emotional perspective, is drawn between red romance and black romance. Red romance, comprised of the flush and pale quadrants, is a form of romance rooted in strongly positive emotions. Black romance, with its colliginous and ashen quadrants, is rooted in the strongly negative. On the other hand, the vertical bifurcation has to do with the purpose of the relationship, regardless of the emotions behind it. Those quadrants which are concupiscent, the flush and colliginous, have to do with facilitating the elaborate reproductive cycle of trolls. Those which are conciliatory, the pale and ashen, would be more closely likened to platonic relationships by human standards. There are many parallels between human relationships and the various facets of troll romance. Humans have words to describe relationships of a negative nature or of a platonic nature. The difference is, for humans, those relationships would never be conceptually grouped with romance. Establishing those sorts of relationships for humans is not driven by the same primal forces that drive our tendency to couple romantically. But for trolls, those primal forces involve themselves in the full palette of these relationships, red or black, torrid or friendly. Trolls typically feel strongly compelled to find balance in each quadrant and seek gratifying relationships that each describes. The challenge is particularly torturous for young trolls, who must reconcile the wide range of contradictory emotions associated with this matrix while understanding the nature of their various romantic urges for the first time. Of course, young humans have this challenge too, but for trolls the challenge is fourfold. Although the only one that seems unnecessary is if you get yourself in a decent colliginous relationship, you really have no need for an ashen quadrant. So really only 3 of them are strictly necessary. That's the one thing I've been having difficulty with. I understand the concept already because I've had it explained to me like a billion times. Okay. When 2 individuals find themselves in the flush quadrant together, they are said to be mate sprees. Mate spreeship is the closest parallel to the human concept of romance trolls have. It plays a role in the troll's reproductive cycle, just as it does for humans. This is pretty obvious. Not much more needs to be said about this. Moving right along. Except, and this is a distinction that I've seen made in a fic I read, Enforced Cultural Exchange by Miko covers this concept quite well, I'd have to say. Describing how pity for humans in mate spaceships doesn't feel quite the same as somebody saying, you know, I love you versus I pity you. But pity is positive to trolls, whereas for humans it's vaguely insulting. So, in the fic, there's a body swap, actually. John and Karkat swap bodies because of a transportalizer accident, sort of. It's not like a strict transportalizer. I can't really describe it without going into way too much detail. Anyway, the point is, Karkat in John's body is really upset about something in particular, and John, now having the psychology of a troll, because emotions are actually more of a chemical reaction than they are, you know, emotions as intellectual things. Blah, words. So he says, wow, I really pity you. And Karkat, you know, intellectually knows, that's great, that's a wonderful thing, that's a good feeling to have. But with his human concept of emotions, the chemical reactions in his brain make him feel vaguely insulted. So, I think that's, you know, a good thing to talk about there. That is the main difference when it comes to mate spaceship. Examine Caligulus quadrant. When a pair of adversaries delve into this quadrant, they become each other's kismicists. As one of the concupiscent quadrants, it plays a role in procreation as well. There is no particularly good human translation for this concept. The closest would be an especially potent arch rivalry. I never know when it's arc or arch. For instance, human players would never be able to adequately diagnose the relationship between the queen and her archagent. But troll players could immediately place that as a dead ringer for kismicitude. They would think we were all pretty stupid for not getting it. And they would be right. Except hate sex is definitely a thing. Definitely. I have some ships I like that are pretty much like this. Like, people who don't get it, but I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy VII. And there are a lot of people who will ship Sephiroth and Cloud, and they will make them, like, ushy-gushy for one another. I much prefer when it's Black Rom. When they really hate each other's existences, but they're so drawn to one another. It's like, oh yes, hate sex for infinity. Yay. Trolls have a complicated reproductive cycle. It's probably best not to examine it in much detail. The need to seek out concupiscent partners comes with more urgency than typical reproductive instincts. When the Imperial drone comes knocking, you had better be able to supply genetic material to each of his filial pales. If you have nothing to offer, he will kill you without hesitation. The genetic material, without going into much detail, is a combinative genetic mix from the mate spree and kismicist pairs, respectively. The pales are all offered to the mother grub, who can only receive such precombined material. She then combines all of it into one incestuous slurry and begins her brooding. This doesn't mean the initial combination was for naught, however. In the slurry, more dominant genes rise to the fore, while the more recessive find less representation in the brood. Especially strong mate spree and kismicist pairings yield more dominant genetic material. The more powerful the complement or potent the rivalry, the more dominant the genes. Troll reproduction sure is weird. We all take a moment to lament how pedestrian the human reproductive cycle is, and further lament that the phrase incestuous slurry is not a feature of common parlance in human civilization. But it is. People don't understand that incest is actually fairly common. Like, if you guys ever paid attention in an introductory anthropology class, most people are like, oh, blah, the Yanomamo. But they have a very complicated way of marriage where you can only marry, like, it's one side of, like, your father's brother's daughters are the only viable options for marriage for a young Yanomamo man. It's like a really big deal. But I like that they actually have, like, more tangible chemical reactions here when it comes to things like what makes a potent kismicitude and what makes a potent mate spree-ship. It probably, like, increases their sex drive and makes their genes more potent. Like, literally does. Examine Ashen quadrant. This quadrant involves a particular type of free relationship of black romantic nature. Falling on the conciliatory side, it has no bearing on the reproductive cycle, except for indirect ramifications. When two trolls are locked in a feud or some otherwise contentious relationship, one can intervene and become their auspicist. auspistice. So many words here. The auspistice mediates between the two, playing the role of a peacekeeper, preventing the feud from boiling over into a fully colligonous rivalry. Since such lesser feuds are quite common among trolls, there is a significant need for auspicing parties. Without them, too many Ashen feuds would become colligonous and begin to conflict with other exclusive kismesis relationships, leading to a great deal of social complexity and sore feelings, even more so than black romance usually involves. Without auspisticism, the result will be widespread black infidelity. So they have a lot of tendency to cheat on one another? Is that what they're trying to say? I haven't really seen too much evidence of cheating relationships, but... So it's only when the colligonous relationship is a bad thing? That's, like I said, that's the only part of it I don't quite get, is it doesn't seem like it's something that would be needed too terribly often. The relationships each quadrant describes tend to be malleable, if not volatile, especially in the concupiscent half where more torrid emotions reside. It doesn't take much to flip a switch and transmute black rom feelings to red rom and vice versa. In many cases, one party will have red feelings while the other has black, but it will often be the case that one party's feelings will swap to match the other since there is no quadrant which naturally accommodates such disparity. But thereafter, it's not uncommon for the two to toggle between red and black in unison now and then. These scenarios naturally result in both red and black infidelities. This sort of relationship volatility is why conciliatory relationships are an important part of troll romance. Making me seizurific. An auspistice can stabilize particularly turbulent relationships. If the auspistice fails to mediate properly, or has no interest in the role, or perhaps has different romantic intentions him/herself altogether, then the relationship often quickly deteriorates into one of an especially hostile and torrid nature. There are many outside factors and influences tugging and pulling these relationships in different directions, and unlike humans, who have very orderly, simple, straightforward romantic relationships without exception, trolls exist in a state of almost perpetual confusion and generally have no idea what the hell is going on. Being confused by troll relationships is one thing we do have in common, though. I have to say that, I feel like this is a more recent development. Until I was, in college, I had never heard of the phrase talking to someone. And I still don't get it, because in my mind, you're either together or you're not. But I have very little regard for relationships in general, and I don't really care too much about cheating, so I'm weird. Examine Pale Quadrant. This quadrant presides over more allegiance, the other conciliatory relationship. A reasonable human translation would be the concept of a soulmate, but in a more platonic sense, and with a more specific social purpose. Trolls are a very angry and violent race. Some are more hot-tempered and dangerous than others, to the extent that if left to their own devices, they would present a serious threat to society, or even to themselves. Such trolls would have an instinctive pale attraction to a more even-tempered troll, who may become their moirelle. The moirelle is obliged to pacify the other to function as the better half. The two partners in a strong pale relationship will serve to balance and complement each other's emotional profiles, and thus allow their relationships to be more successful. It's often ambiguous, especially among young trolls, whether a bond formed between an acquaintance is true more allegiance, or the usual variety of platonic involvement. Furthermore, romantic intentions of a more flushed nature can often be mistaken for paler leanings, much to the frustration of the suitor. But some pale pairings, as the one above, will be strikingly obvious to all who know them. Warned for my vanishing right there, had I not been 3 seconds away from coughing my lungs out. But yeah, I mean, basically the entire thing makes sense to me. It's just the role of auspisticism having so much importance. But then again, it's probably my whole, not really having much of a regard for commitment. I really have zero regard for commitment. And yet, others will seem to have been hatched for each other. He's still got that bottle of Fago. Wait, more troll romance exposition, please. God, you just can't get enough of this, can you? That would have been a great point for transition out of this illustrated sociological study, but okay, if you insist. Now see, what's going on here is, it's perfectly simple. When the full matrix of troll romance is in action, we have, hey, why don't you figure it out? You should be an expert in all this by now, anyway. It's just going a little too fast, is the problem. See, they're breaking up because he is flipping between quadrants. For her, she's got to get involved because it's breaking apart their moral agents. Especially considering that she seems to be cheating on him with him. Like, it makes sense to me, but it's going too fast, and that's the issue here. Very lovely. Later, our troll hero would try to explain this to our human hero, attempting to convey all the nuance of troll romance through a nearly verbatim recitation of the preceding excerpts. He would try to describe how rich in texture the troll romance comedies were compared to the one-dimensional schlock of our human cinematic counterparts. He would barely scratch the surface of troll Will Smith's virtuosity with the delicate lattice of troll romance, as he would assist the bumbling, fudge-blooded troll Kevin James through the interwoven minefield briar patch of red rum and black rum entanglements, all the while sifting through his own prickly romantic situation and ultimately learning the true meaning of hate and pity. But would they succeed before the Imperial drone came knocking with his thirsty pails at the ready? Yes, they would. But John didn't understand any of this because he's a moron and wouldn't shut up about his awful bullshit Earth movies. He would just go on and on and on about that garbage. And that's why they're made for each other. But if there was one theme to be hammered through his thick skull, it would be the troll's cultural preoccupation with romantic destiny. Yes, the romantic landscape is rife with false starts and miscues and infidelities, red and black. But every troll believes strongly that each quadrant holds one and only one true pairing for them, and it is just a matter of time before the grid is filled with the auspicious matchups through mysterious channels of troll serendipity. In short, their belief is that for each quadrant there exists a pair or triad of trolls somewhere in the cosmos that were made for each other. Wow, another great transition. You wonder if it will stick this time. You have no choice but to take a stab at the rare and extremely dangerous 2x transition combo. Attempt 2x transition combo. Looks like it worked. So, who is this guy, anyway? I'll have a few minutes for Eridan's introduction. He's a badass. He's on a seahorse. Your name is Eridan Ampora. Do something awesome! That's totally awesome, just looking at me like that. Put your gun at the ready. Wait for it. Wait. The suspense is killing me. There she blows! Whale. Poof. Swoop. Hunt the white whale, Moby. That was actually a reference to Moby, not Moby Dick. Ah, right through the whale anatomy. Fish food. Okay, that guy is pretty much squared away. What about her? Your name is Fefri Pisces. And I know it's supposed to be Pisces, but I like Pisces better. Pisces. Do something adorable. Swim. Net. More swimming. Time to feed your lusus with other lusus. Wow. Holy. Her lusus is gigantic. Nom. No wonder it's never satisfied. Go home? That should keep her quiet for a while, at least until she dies. When will she die? We'll never know.